Sun Ye-jin says she's floating on cloud nine. Fans melt. In a single night, Son Ye-jin quietly etched her name into Korean film history forever, becoming the first actress ever to complete the legendary Best Actress Triple Crown: Blue Dragon, Baeksang, and Grand Bell. And she did it with a performance so raw and heartbreaking that even she admitted she never saw it coming. The moment the 45th Blue Dragon Film Awards announced her name on November 2nd, 2025, the entire theater seemed to hold its breath. Son Ye-jin, seated in a simple yet elegant black dress that whispered sophistication rather than shouted it, froze for a split second, eyes wide, lips parted in genuine shock. She later confessed on Instagram that she was floating on clouds, a phrase so light it perfectly captured how unreal the victory felt. She had walked into that ceremony completely empty-handed, no speech prepared, no mental rehearsal, because deep down, she truly believed the trophy would go to someone else. When she finally reached the stage, the words tumbled out in a rush of apologies. "I'm so sorry. I didn't prepare anything at all." Watching her clutch the heavy Blue Dragon statue while blinking back tears, you couldn't help but feel that this was one of those rare moments when the universe rewards sincerity over calculation. That same evening, the audience voted her the Popular Star Award, a prize that belongs entirely to the fans. Somewhere in the crowd, people were crying for her. Strangers who had stayed up nights clicking vote buttons because they missed her face on screen. She almost broke down reading their messages afterward. "How am I supposed to express this gratitude?" she wrote, voice trembling through the text. In an industry that sometimes feels coldly corporate, that overwhelming wave of love felt like proof that genuine connection still exists between an artist and the people who grew up with her stories. The film that carried her to this historic double win is called No Other Choice. Working title, The Axe, original Korean, Dokgibyeol. A brutal, claustrophobic thriller directed by the master Park Chan-wook. For Son Ye-jin, it was more than just a comeback. It was a terrifying leap back into the world after years away. She had married the love of her life, Hyunbin, in that fairy tale wedding in March 2022, given birth to their beautiful son that November, and then spent months cradling new life while wondering if the old magic was still there. Every mother who has ever worried that career and family cannot coexist probably felt her anxiety like it was their own. Returning to the set meant sleepless nights, endless questions, and the quiet fear that time might have dulled her edge. Then, Park Chan-wook called. Just hearing his calm, meticulous voice on the phone was enough to steady her racing heart. She has said, more than once, that working with him felt like being handed a safety rope on a sheer cliff. Opposite her stood Lee Byung-hun, an actor whose mere presence raises the bar for everyone around him, and a supporting cast filled with giants. Lee Sung-min with his terrifyingly alive energy. Yum Hae-ran, who can shift from tender to terrifying in a single breath, and Park Hee-soon, whom she called a surprising discovery because his face holds 1,000 unspoken stories. She was the Mane, the youngest on a set of living legends, and instead of shrinking, she bloomed. There is something profoundly moving about watching a woman in her 40s still wide-eyed with admiration for her seniors, still eager to learn, still treating every day of filming like her very first. When she finally saw the completed film, something inside her shifted forever. She realized, with the clarity that only distance brings, just how irreplaceable Park Chan-wook is to Korean cinema, how his obsessive attention to every frame, every sound, every glance between characters creates movies that haunt you long after the credits roll. She praised Lee Byung-hun, not with empty superstar compliments, but with the reverence of someone who stood toe-to-toe with him and felt the full weight of his craft. She called Lee Sung-min a master, said Yum Hae-don's charm and range are immeasurable, and admitted she could watch Park Hee-soon's expressions for hours. These weren't polite thank yous. They were love letters to colleagues who pushed her to places she didn't know she could reach. In the film, she plays a mother who is forced to make unthinkable choices when her family is threatened. A woman who is pragmatic to the point of coldness because survival demands it. Watching her on screen, you forget the glamorous Son Ye-jin of Crash Landing on You, the gentle Yoon Se-ri who fell in love across the DMZ. This is a mother whose hands shake while holding an axe, whose eyes calculate angles of escape before they register fear. It is uncomfortable, unflattering, and utterly human. And somehow, in stripping away every trace of vanity, she delivered what might be the performance of her life. 22 years earlier, a 20-year-old Son Ye-jin had stood nervously on the set of the classic, not yet aware that she would become the defining face of an entire generation of Korean romances. She made us believe in pure, heartbreaking first love in Summer Scent and April Snow, showed us complicated adult relationships in Alone in Love and My Wife Got Married, carried the weight of history as the last princess, and then, against all odds, gave us the global phenomenon that was Crash Landing on You. That drama didn't just make her a household name across Asia, it turned her into a cultural bridge, proof that a great love story can still unite millions of strangers. And then, just when the world thought they knew exactly who she was, she married the man she fell in love with on screen, had a baby, disappeared for a while, and came back swinging an axe, metaphorically and literally. There is something almost poetic about that journey. From wide-eyed ingenue to radiant leading lady to new mother wrestling with identity to fearless actress willing to look ugly, exhausted, and morally ambiguous if the story demands it. On November 22nd, 2025, 3 weeks after the awards, she sat down and wrote that long Instagram letter because the short speech at the podium had not been enough. She thanked the crew who worked through freezing nights and impossible schedules. She promised never to treat this honor lightly. Most of all, she vowed to keep growing, to keep surprising us. Reading her words, you could feel the little girl who once dreamed of acting still alive inside the woman who now holds every major Korean acting trophy that matters. Son Ye-jin has spent 2 decades teaching us how to fall in love on screen. Now at 43, newly crowned the undisputed queen of Korean cinema, she is teaching us something even more precious: how to come back bolder, braver, and more honest than before. And if this is what she can do after a long break, after marriage, after motherhood, then heaven help the rest of the industry, because Son Ye-jin is nowhere near finished. She is, against all odds and expectations, just getting started.